Welcome to More Action, the podcast for entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. I'm your host, Shelly Bryan, and together we have candid conversations with industry leaders to uncover valuable wisdom and lessons learned. My hope is you use these lessons to intentionally take more action in business and life. I hope you share and enjoy. Well, I hope you've been tuning in to the last several weeks of episodes here on the show, because this one is like a continuation on. So, if you've been hanging out here for a while on More Action, of course, I am the biggest advocate for taking more action in your business, your life, your relationships, and everything. But it's also giving you the practical tools. And that's what this show is about. So it's previous experiences from me. It's in business and life. Those of my expert guests, amazing guests. I've had some great ones on recently, and just like sharing the knowledge. Even when I'm learning about something new, I'm like, hey, if this saves someone else time and helps them in their business or life, I am all about it. And so what this last kind of 4 or 5-ish weeks has been about, mastering self-leadership skills, looking at entrepreneurship versus entrepreneurship. That was with Carlin. Systems create freedom. And that one was that episode, you guys loved it. If you haven't listened to that, definitely go back. And then this one is a continuation pretty much on from that one, because I am always looking for efficiencies and productivity hacks. And here is one that I mentioned in the show that I wanted to bring out to you. And I hope you're actually going to tune in. If you're on Apple or Spotify right now, don't forget, hit and leave a quick 10-second review. You have no idea how much that helps and how much it means to me. But I'm going to have a little fun and do something different. So if you've not subscribed over on YouTube, I invite you to come over there, check it out, make sure that you hit subscribe, but I'm actually going to use a visual aid. So you'll probably see this maybe in like a social media clip, but if you want the full effect, come on over to YouTube, hit subscribe, and hang out there. So let's dive in to today's episode. And like I said, this one is a continuation. So systems creating freedom is the one that I really kind of dove into this a little bit more, mentioned it, and I wanted to provide more information. So this entire episode is actually dedicated to productivity. And the way that we're going to do that is utilizing and understanding the Eisenhower Matrix. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there is a quote from President Eisenhower, and he says, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." Oh, that's a gut punch. When you are a high achiever like me, and maybe you want to have that fancy checklist, you want to feel busy, and it feels good to be feeling busy, but at the end of the day, you feel almost kind of like dissatisfied because you didn't get the right things done, even though you were busy all day. And so I'm going to repeat that quote again, because I think it's something that we always just kind of keep pushing forward, keeping pushing forward. And then you get 6 months down the road and you're like, what the hell? I haven't accomplished anything. So what is important is seldom urgent. And what is urgent is seldom important. I know as a business owner or a leader, you're putting out a ton of fires every day. I'm going to help you see through how utilizing the Eisenhower Matrix can actually help you kind of move through that. Now, the whole idea behind the matrix is helping you organize tasks and maximize your efficiency and productivity. And so I'm going to take you through this episode, stick through the end. I'm going to take you what it is, how it works. Then I'm going to show you kind of some research and some tips for using it to increase your productivity. And of course, giving you those actionable items that you can implement immediately. And these actionable items, I'm doing them to right now. So I'm not speaking theoretically. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'll share something that Chris is doing and how we're kind of working through this. And just to kind of let you guys know, I mean, we have a construction company that is scaling quite fast. And so as you can imagine, the fires, and even in construction, and I say fires like air quote fires, you know this as a business owner, a leader or parent, is like the fires are all the time, and you have to learn how to manage them. And when you're scaling really quick, the fires can come on with a vengeance. So let's dive in here, because I want to take you through, and this is where I invite you over to YouTube so you can see my fancy little sketchbook I stole from the kids. So I had some good paper to use to be able to demonstrate exactly what the matrix looks like. So the matrix is 4 quadrants, and here's what it is. Make sure that you guys can see. But the matrix, think about like a chart. So you have a horizontal line that is urgent, and then you have your vertical line crossing it, which is important. That gives you 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is what is urgent and what is important. Quadrant 2 is what is important, but not urgent. Quadrant 3 is urgent, not important. And quadrant 4, not urgent, not important. So I want to simplify this for you really quick as we go through and make sure you guys can all see this. But just to keep it super easy. So urgent and important, quadrant 1, these are tasks that you want to do now. Do now, right? You'll see my awesome handwriting. It's not great, and I already screwed up, but we're just going to keep rolling. Number 2, right? That quadrant 2, I told you, is important and not urgent. So these are things that you can plan for. And I mean, something like planning could be like relationship building, learning a new skill, onboarding a new system. You want to plan for that. It's more important for longer term goals. And number 3, or quadrant 3, is urgent, but not important. So when I think about that, I think delegate. If you're scaling right now, and whether you're delegating with internal talent, external talent, abroad talent, is delegate. And with delegating, this can be one of the hardest things to do as a leader or business owner, because like I'm sure you've said, it's just easier for me to do it. I can just get it done. Well, if it's not an urgent thing, or if it's urgent and not important, if it's not important, you should not be doing it. And that's when you have to delegate it out. Maybe it's answering emails. Maybe it's scheduling or creating boundaries so that you don't get interruptions. So it's something that you need to do immediate. You need to take action on it, of course, but it's not contributing to long term. So that leaves our last quadrant, quadrant 4, as not urgent, not important. Guess what? This is what you eliminate. And maybe that's a system, right? Maybe that's something that is distracting to you. If you've been following along with me on Instagram specifically, I'm on Instagram or LinkedIn. I hope we connect there. And of course, YouTube, because I hope you're watching it here. Is on Instagram, I've shared how I implemented using the Opal app. The Opal app is essentially a focus app, because guess what was distracting to me? And it's not urgent and it's not important: social media. And so I used that app. I need those apps on there, but I needed to make sure that when I'm in deep focus and I am working on those important and urgent tasks, that I have that focus. And so that app actually locks me out, which is great. Listen, I'm not perfect, and so I needed an app to help me. It is what it is. So when you look at this and you kind of think about your day, I'm sure throughout your day, you can think like, oh my gosh, like something just blew up, right? Or like for us in construction, we just went through demo and maybe someone cut accidentally a low voltage wire. Hint, it has happened. That was a very costly mistake, but it was a mistake. That was something urgent that we needed. Then that was important to the building. We needed to handle it immediately. Where there are certain things I know, and I'm going to be honest with you guys here. I always am. I am not very good at this right now. I feel like there are so many fuels or irons in the fire right now that it's like, holy cow, where am I all over the place? And so I am putting an extreme amount of effort and investing time into becoming better at this. And it's hard and it kind of sucks right now, but I know it will get better as I continue to practice and hone this skill. And because I know that many of you out there, we connect on social media, the various platforms, is I know that you all are doing the same thing. And so I'm like, if this can help me, I know it can help you. Now, when it comes to like, why do we want to like increase productivity, right? Well, we all try to do more within our day. And the more that we can do, the more that we can accomplish, the more impact that we can make, even if it's with one more person, it is worth it. And so research shows that effective prioritization can increase your productivity by 25%. Now, when I said prioritization, you probably thought like, oh yeah, I totally have a to-do list and I number it 1 through 10. Well, that's probably not the best way to do it, if I'm gonna be brutally honest. And I love Tim Grover, who wrote Relentless. I definitely follow him. He's incredible. Just his thought processes is he actually doesn't ever number a list, not 1 through 10. He has ones for everything because if it makes the list, it's that important. Another way of looking at a to-do list, and I know you've heard this before, I've done it, I've done an episode on it, is eat the frog, right? Do the hardest thing first. I don't really love that because what is the hardest? And for us to train to do the hardest thing first is not enough as far as like a oomph on why to do it. When you tell me it's urgent and important versus it's hard, I'm going to choose the urgent and important thing to do, not the hard thing. Who wants to do the hard thing? No one does. But when you relabel it and I'm like urgent and important, hell yeah, I'm all about it. Or maybe not urgent, but very important to the business. Again, that is where I want to spend my time, not on the hard thing. So listen, I'm not trying to say eat the frog is bad, do the hard thing first is bad. I'm just providing more perspective for you so that you can make educated decisions about what will work best for what you have going on in your life. The other thing that I will tell you, when you look at prioritization, productivity, efficiency, all these different things, is the better you hone that skill, you will reduce your stress because you will be focusing on what truly matters most. Now, you know me, stress is very important as far as being able to manage it. We're never going to eliminate it. I know you're like me. I know that we're out there doing amazing things. We're busy. We have huge goals. We want to do it. We're stressed. The kids, all these different things are going on. Stress isn't going away. It's how we manage it. So if I can better prioritize the things in my day based on urgency and importance, that is naturally going to reduce my stress. Do you see that correlation there? That's why focusing and spending your time on quadrants 1 and 2 is where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Now, let's talk about some practical implementation like tips, because, I encourage you again, you got to either visualize what I'm talking about as far as the two axes, the urgent and the important, or jump over to YouTube so that you can see this. But I want you to start visualizing, like, what would it look like? And you can set up an Eisenhower Matrix however you want. You can use it on paper. You can go digital. You can use different apps or different software like Asana. I'm looking at Asana right now. I'm actually going through a few different software to help me because as we build out the team, I need to be able to talk to the team. So like Asana is an option. I got to tell you what, the beginning of this week, I needed good old fashioned paper because I just needed to see it in front of me, write it all out, and then I could put it into the system. Maybe you need to do that. Maybe it's Outlook and how you schedule and book your days. Chris, my husband, who you've seen on social, and I hope you're following him too. Chris has found Obsidian, which is more of like a to-do app but that's what works for him. And so what I want to, the reason why I'm sharing that is that there's no perfect way to do it. You have to see what works for you. And so, like I said, I'm kind of looking at Asana right now so that I can delegate to our various teams internally and have that communication. And then how do I pair that with Slack and going forward and all the different tools that we're using. So there are a few challenges, I will say, when you are going through this process. And I would say the thing is to make sure that you understand the team or the resources that you have at your hand. Because if you remember, right, quadrant 1 is do now, quadrant 2 is plan for, quadrant 3 is delegate, and 4 is eliminate. So focusing on that quadrant 3 real quick, that could be delegating, right? So delegating either to a system and or to a team member. And so you want to number one, understand who your team is and their strengths and what they can take on. Also, what is their capacity? Number 2, you also need to understand the power and maybe your weakness of not delegating. Let's say it that way. And I say this with a kind heart, but I'm saying it to myself too. This was a hard lesson I had to learn. Chris is learning it right now too, is that delegation. And the more that we do it, we're like, holy cow, why didn't we do that sooner? So understand that you might be the bottleneck in that quadrant 3 when things are urgent but not important. That is a perfect time to delegate out to someone else. So that is just a challenge that I want you to watch out for as you start implementing this into kind of your daily life. And keep in mind, this is something that you can do in your personal life and or your business. Of course, on this show, I'm talking a little bit more about your business or your career, the things that you are doing in your life, but you can use it in anywhere. Now, okay, so let's kind of like we're kind of coming to the end, guys. I'm really excited about this, and maybe I'll do a follow-up episode because I want to share kind of more findings as I am going through it. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you was a truly eye-opening experience that just kind of put things in perspective for myself. You don't need anybody else to do it. You don't need all this time. You don't need a fancy app. You need a piece of paper and a pen. But what I want you to think about doing and what I would suggest doing, this is what worked for me, is I hope you saw the quadrant. Come over to YouTube if you didn't. Google it if you haven't so that you can see it. And then I want you at the end of this week, or even reflect on last week. Whenever you're listening to this, go ahead, make your quadrant, and then go back to your calendar from the previous week and put all the appointments that you had scheduled, place it into one of the 4 quadrants. And I promise you, you will be 99% of you, right? There's going to be the one out there that already uses the Eisenhower Matrix and you're a rock star. Good for you. But I promise you, that will be an eye-opening experience. You will see where you are spending your time. And it might be kind of like a holy cow. I don't want this to be at all a beat yourself up. That is not what that is for. But what it is to visually show you how you are prioritizing and using your time to manage your business, your career. Now, once you see that, great. Use it as a data point. And that's it. It doesn't define you. It's a data point. Okay, now here are things that I need to move around. Here are the things that I need to delegate. Why am I need to be able, what I want to be able to do is understand more tasks that I can delegate. And asking yourself, urgent and important. Go back to urgent and important, not like hard or easy. We don't want to get to those kind of tasks. Urgent and important. And so once you do that, that will put it in clear perspective, give you a data point on where you are starting from and where you want to go. And then for the next week, whether you start planning your week on Sunday, I'm typically a Sunday person because I just want to come into Monday knowing what's going on. If you're a Monday person and you come in and you're like, all right, what's going on? Pull out your piece of paper, draw your quadrants, look at your week, and understand where you need to spend your time, where you need to delegate, eliminate, what you need to do immediately, or what you could plan for. And so start incorporating this. This is something that you can do each week right? So I'm asking, it's an investment of time just once a week to go back and go through it. So after you start doing that, you will understand exactly where you're spending your time. And I would place a large wager that after you do that for even 1 month, 4 times, I'm just asking 4 times, you will come back and you'll be like, holy cow, I was so much more productive over this last month. And I ended each day with a W. I can tell you as a high achiever, there's nothing worse as being busy all day, but ending the day with an L, like a loss, because I didn't move the needle. I didn't get the right things done in my business. And the more days that I can come back and be like, hell yeah, that was a win. This is what I did. This is what I focused on. This is what I delegated. And they did amazing. Like all of those things will help strengthen your productivity. It will help strengthen your efficiency, all while reducing stress. And listen, I hope that you have found some value in this, in being able to go through. And if you haven't heard of the Eisenhower Matrix, there's a lot of information on it, but I want to bring you back to that original quote. And why I'm sharing this is that, President Eisenhower said, what is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. So instead of labeling things hard or what you don't want to do or easy or whatever, what's urgent and important? Let the quadrants show you where you need to place that task and what you need to do with it. You get to own it and then move forward. So I hope this helped you. Don't forget, share it out. If you are leading a team right now, this might be a great episode to either share via YouTube or have someone be able to bring it in and teach, to be able to help lead the team, right? Some people might start raising their hands and be like, hey, I want to delegate, like, give it to me. I have more capacity, or I want to grow in that space. And so the more that you can share it as a leader, you can get the buy-in, you're going to get the productivity and the efficiency and everything. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, like I said, share it out, but also tag me if you love this one. And I love to just kind of share all of these wins that you guys are having, and if you're finding use with this. All right, have a good one.